Hello, welcome to Integrative Mystic. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am super excited for today's show. We're going to be going on a journey with Summer McStravick and her new book, Stuff Nobody Taught You. I can't wait to jump in with Summer. So stick around. I want to invite you to come into this space. Welcome. Take a deep breath. We are in the world between worlds where we're connected with the earth, the here and now, and also the cosmos and the multidimensional realities that all coexist and connect within us. Welcome to this space. On today's show, I'm going to interview my fantastic guest. And as usual, at the end, I will pull some cards for the week ahead. So let's jump in, shall we? I would like to introduce Miss Summer McStravick. She is a personal growth coach, author, podcaster, and creator of Flow Dreaming, which I'm a big fan of, a mind-body technique for manifesting and growing inner emotional strength. That's Flow Dreaming. And she's the creator of Me School, a life-changing personal growth program that happens every autumn. Her latest adventure is a year-round monthly membership program, Flow On, where she teaches spiritual growth seekers how to fuse manifesting into their daily lives. So let's welcome to the show, Summer. Hello, Summer.
Hi, Anne. How are you?
I said let's welcome as if there's an audience just clapping away.
I hear a celestial audience definitely clapping for us right now. At least that's what I want to believe.
We have angels and star beings and ascended masters who are hooting and hollering in glory. I'm so excited to talk with you today about your book, Stuff Nobody Taught You. You can find more about that at flowdreaming.com, and we'll talk more about how to find more about Summer and this book at the end of the show. But I'm so excited. We're going to talk about this book. I want to just, mention that Summer has created this Flow Dreaming book, this program. She has a podcast, right? And it's different than this book. It's one of your earlier publishing creations, but definitely check out Flow Dreaming. I want to encourage anyone who's tuning in today, because it's a really transcendent program and technique. And it's so cool. It integrates hypnosis and affirmations and prayer and creative visualization. And I highly recommend you check that out. But today we're going to talk about Stuff Nobody Taught You, which actually has a description of Flow Dreaming in it, doesn't it, Summer?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Can't not put it in. It's one of the core techniques that I use. So
you get kind of a Reader's Digest version of it in.
Yes. I already wrote 2 full books about flow dreaming. So I'm like, well, I should mention it, but I'm not going to, do the whole thing again. So it gets a chapter, basically.
It
Not
gives
even a whole chapter.
it's like a teaser. It's like, okay, this is a whole other universe.
Exactly.
I want to explore that. So I want to encourage anyone tuning in, please explore Flow Dreaming. But tell us stuff nobody taught you. Stop being miserable and start feeling amazing.
Yeah.
What inspired you, Summer, to write this book?
Several different things. First of all, I started writing during the pandemic, when a lot of our schedules really shifted. And for the first time in decades, at least a decade, I had enormous quantities of what I call slow time. Slow time for me is when your life shifts in such a way that you get these big blocks of time that are just free. And there's no pressure, there's nothing to try to stuff into them. And it lets things that have been simmering or dormant or percolating inside you finally kind of come together. And that's, different from the way we normally live, which is every day is stuffed full. Every day is just the tasks and the clients and the websites and the kids and the meals, etc. Right? So with all this slow time, excuse me, I here, what I realized is I have this backlog of teachings that I've been sharing for the last almost 15, 18 years. And they haven't been written down. I recorded them all and they're in my Me School program, but there wasn't an actual paper thing you could hold in your hand where I could say, this is the journey you walk. This is what it means when you need to transform yourself. This is how you do it. This is how you do it successfully, right? These are the things that get in your way. Here's how you get through them. And so that was the time when I realized we are all going to need this very soon. We've all gone through such a big transformation in the last few years, and we're still doing it, frankly, kind of finding the new normal. So that was the inspiration. I really wanted to get this knowledge down and have it there because I knew that people were going through some tremendous change.
Yeah. Amazing. And so it was a combination of, there was a big forced gap in many people's schedules, in your schedule, and which is unusual. And that creates its own kind of consciousness, doesn't it? And you had a realization that the material from the Me School could be boiled down to an essence that would be really in harmony with what is going on in the world collectively, with the collective transformation, personal transformations. And so it seemed like this culmination of different things, and it was just kind of syncing up, almost flowing.
Exactly. Yeah, and it really got me thinking. I've taught so many people how to go through this process of what ends up being inner reinvention. So I started my journey focused on manifesting, right? Creating, passionate interest in that. And that's where I developed flow dreaming as a method for doing that. But over time, I realized, okay, I can give people this beautiful, expensive violin and say, here's the technique. You can play anything with it. You can play the most difficult classical pieces. And most people took the violin and they just kind of squawked at it and said, well, all I need is another $1,000. I'm like, no. That's not what we do. So I said, all right, what's stopping us from fully realizing what we can become and leveling up, or taking us to that next place in ourselves? I said, okay, I'm going to give you flow dreaming, but now I'm going to give you the next bigger thing, which is you've got some patterns, you got some blocks, you have some questions about if you're worthy or not of certain things. All these things are getting in your way from you really going for the things that you want in your life and enjoying and sipping on life the way you want. So that's also another origin for Stuff Nobody Taught You, giving people that process of reinvention and helping them kind of break through some things so they can get to that next phase, whether it's going huge or just getting your head above water. Either one, it's a reinvention.
I kind of envision, as you're talking, Summer, by the way, I have called Summer Flow accidentally. So warning to everyone listening, I may, because she wrote flow dreaming, there's some sort of wiring short in my system. So I do apologize if I do that, but Summer has already forgiven me. But Summer, as I'm envisioning, while you're talking, this process of helping people get in touch with what's underneath their manifestation process and what's blocking them, I'm envisioning the depth, of what it really means to manifest, to create, to pray for something, to intend something. And it reminds me of the resistance to the Secret, that really big hit movie, and the resistance to the law of attraction, just sort of pop spiritual kind of in vogue topic, and a lot of content created around that, and how there's a resistance in some communities, spiritual communities, to that, I think a lot of the resistance is about a misunderstanding that there's more than a surface level of creation, and that it can get very, quote, materialistic, or imbalance towards the physical, or towards, maybe some more shallow experiences. But really, when you dive into a spiritual practice of using your intention to create your reality, you find that it is a transformative experience. You find out, what's um, blocking or providing you an opportunity for growth. And as you're doing the work to unblock that and to work through that and reprogram it and heal it, it's doing the spiritual work that your soul wants to do. And I feel like, your process really taps into that deeper spiritual journey of understanding not only what you think you want to create, but getting into, the depth of what are, some things, some deeper things, maybe your mind, body, spirit, your soul wants to experience and learn, that are connected with this, and how you can grow and have transformative experiences and have fun manifesting.
Yes. That's my answer. Yes. I do absolutely agree. I think it was a real boon to the world when this concept of law of attraction was simplified in such a way that people could respond to it. Almost like taking something very complex and making a sound bite out of it. And there is a purpose for that kind of amplification. But then we have to recognize that's a sound bite. There's the complexity, the depth, the journey of it. People don't realize that when you're creating your life, it's a journey. You call it law of attraction or whatever tools you want to use. You're going on a long journey. There's going to be lots of different pieces and parts. So when I describe it, and this kind of is, this is half flow dreaming, half stuff nobody taught you, right? My me school practice. I always teach people that what you are on the inside, your external world is perfectly reflected. So, and I joke that I sit across from these mirrored glass doors in my office, the ones from the 80s and 90s that go from floor to ceiling. They're really heavy and they always get stuck.
You
But
sound
it means that I
great.
have to keep looking, right? We all have had those in our houses. So I have to look at these things all day long, but it's a constant reminder to me that, if I see something outside me in my life that I don't have, well, it's not reflective of anything that's inside me. It's not there inside me either. If I see things outside me that I don't like or want, I say, what part of me is aligned to that? What part of me allowed that in, or didn't handle something so that it slid into my life, whatever it may be. So I always feel that, you're the driver through your life, and your outside circumstances are going to reflect largely what's going on here, instead of the opposite way, which people often feel, which is the outside world is what makes you inside. And yes, there is some shaping and, nature, nurture, all that. But for me, that's an essentially powerless position to say it was all the external things that all I can do is respond to or react to. That's it. That's my job. Just respond well, react well. That takes me out of the driver's seat and says I'm at mercy of this random seeming collection of just junk that's always flying at me. So in my world, we flip that around. That becomes the basis for our inner power. Like, no, the outside world is full of random junk, but I'm captaining the ship, that's floating on the water. Like the water is huge. The ocean is huge. That's everything else out there. But I'm the one captaining the ship. So sometimes I have to go through storms, right, that are not of my own making. But I can always choose, hey, I want to move more towards those calm and beautiful tropical seas. Does that make sense? I used a lot of mixed metaphors in there, but
I think you said
there
it
you
so
go.
beautifully, Summer. The growth that happens when we, as you said, step into the driver's seat, realize I have a really big role in creating my life and my reality. And so, oh, that's kind of stinks that this thing happened and that thing happened, and I may have something to do with that. But that gives us the power to make a change. And it also opens up so much potential for just expanded awareness when we see how, when we shift our consciousness, or how we need to shift our consciousness rather, in order to create what we want to create. If we're creating, situations in which we attract people who don't respect us, then we need to do a little bit of work around respecting ourselves, and radiating respect for self, respect for others. And sure, I agree, there is the external reality, and it does matter, what happens in our 3D world, and that can have an effect on us. And when we understand, though, that we have power to change, and what specifically we're where our growing edges in our consciousness, I think that's where the depth of um, co-creating your reality and the law of attraction really comes in. I also see, I mean, have personally experienced and see my clients experience manifest something that they thought they wanted, and then realize, what, that's not really what my heart wants. And that's a growth experience. Well, you thought you wanted that, you wouldn't have realized it unless you had manifested it. And now, great, you're growing. So now you want to manifest something else that's not a failure. That's what your soul wants to do. That's what our consciousness wants to do, is manifest in order to grow and experience.
Exactly. I teach a lot about the power of feelings and the power of emotion. That's one of the core principles of flow dreaming and doing the flow dreaming technique. And when I'm working with somebody, a student or a private client, whatever, whoever, people often come in with a set of external goals. I need to pay off this house. I need to get my retirement plan actually there, like actually have one. I need to heal this health condition, right? And I say those are fabulous goals. You've picked the stuff in your life that you want to work through or learn through, develop yourself within. And sometimes they look like challenges because we do that. But tell me what you really want. What would doing any of those things give you? They say, well, if I paid off my house, I would feel secure. I'd say, wonderful. Why do you want to feel secure? Because security is the number one thing that I need most in my life. If I have security, everything else can bloom in me. So really, I bring them to the conclusion that what's the deepest feeling that's driving this? Because that's actually the thing you want to manifest. That's the thing you want to focus on. So what you should be saying is, I have intense, deep inner security and physical security in my life so that I can blossom in ways I can't even conceive of yet. So that is truly what you want. Now, maybe a paid off house is definitely going to get that for you. But many of us have had the experience, like you just said, where we will want something, achieve it, and then we just move right on. And it's a moving horizon. We never actually get to that point where the thing fulfills the need. And we wonder, why do I keep getting things and losing things? How come? And sometimes we fail to even stop and realize, oh, I got that thing. And now I already have another thing, taking its place. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. So what we want to do instead is say, whatever can create that kind of security, right? That depth, that healing, I want that. I want that. So sometimes I have what I call magic phrases. And one of my magic phrases is this or better. I say, you've picked a great thing to work on. Definitely keep doing that, right? Because we need to have things that we do to actually push our growth forward. But if there's something better, something that I don't know, something that's more in flow or on track or in alignment, or that'll get me there faster, or that will help me reach that feeling goal quicker, bring that to me. Because that's my ultimate thing. So when I work with people, I take all of their goals and we shift them into feeling goals. And then we kind of open up and say, now, instead of just one path to get there, I say all roads lead to Rome. Now we know what Rome is. There's so many different ways you can get there, not just the one that you've been plowing ahead on and maybe experiencing resistance with, maybe not. But wouldn't you rather have all the roads? I would. And that's where I talk about, you acting in a relationship with the universe, right? And by universe, I mean your higher power. I mean everything else that's out there, flow, whatever we want to call it. We're in a relationship with it. And so good communication is key, folks. In any relationship, these are the feelings I want to feel in this relationship. It's not about that you don't change the toilet paper roll. Like, that's the physical thing. But you know why? Because when you don't change it, it tells me that your laziness is more important than my happiness in your mind. So what I want to feel is that you love and adore me and are delighted so much so that you're willing to make small changes. That's the feeling I want in our relationship. There you go. That was like a whole bunch of different examples, but to kind of really bring it home.
Well, and our feelings are a communication to the universe. And one of the ways we communicate with, however you conceptualize your higher power, spirit, the universe, that we're sending out that vibration. And so by intentionally doing things to vibrate and radiate certain emotions, you're sending out this very specific message, and it opens those doorways in a very different way. There's more openness to feelings, aren't there? And so it can be also like a surrender within that intention or prayer or manifesting practice. And it's also just, it's fun to to cultivate your state of mind that creates or your imagine that creates that certain feeling that you want to feel. And it's a really fun, pleasurable way to manifest. I love it. Speaking of all of these fantastic tips that you're giving us from Stuff Nobody Taught You, which is really the culmination of a lot of the wisdom and powerful content from Me School. Can you tell us, Summer, a little bit more about Me School?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I wrote this book, I approached it from the idea of every year I've been teaching Me School. I'm going into my 10th year. Every time I do it, I participate in it with my students, meaning I'm going through constant acts of reinvention, because that's the point. So I said, when I write, I'm going to write myself through a reinvention, because, this is what my choice was. So I'm actually moving through the stages of development. I call it an arc of development with the reader. And I'm using stories from my own life, cueing them in, like, okay, I know how you might be feeling by chapter 14. here's how I'm feeling, right? We're in this together. Me School itself is a really beautiful boutique personal growth program that, again, my goal was to take people in it and then start stacking ways for them to grow, like you said, grow your edges. I love that phrase that you used a few minutes ago. Stack these different ways that I've seen, if you do this, it's going to make doing this next thing so much easier. So we're going to do them in a specific order. And some of these things are just straight up techniques, talking about, are you an action-oriented person or a pre-action-oriented person? Are there areas of your life that are complete dead zones right now, but you won't even touch them? Do you have a desire to approach them, or do you want to leave them alone? Like, there's a lot of awareness that happens, especially in the beginning weeks of Me School. Once we get the awareness of why we're actually experiencing what we're experiencing right now in our lives, I have my students pick two things, an inside thing and an outside thing. And I say, look, I'm going to give you a series of techniques and ideas and mindsets and energy practices, but you need to be practicing them in a certain area. I want you to see the effects. So an inside thing would be something like, I want to finally experience peace and healing from my last relationship, and not carry forward a feeling that my next relationship will probably end up the same way, which I've noticed now is something that I don't want to admit that I feel, but I'm very afraid of that. And that's why I'm not even like looking at relationships. Like, that's a good inside one. Outside one. again, I want to pay off my house. Great, let's chip away at that, because we might find some things there as we do it. Like, I'm afraid that I won't ever have the money for it. I will never be rewarded to the degree that I want at work. I'm not worthy of earning more. I'm doing work that I hate, and therefore I don't feel good and happy about the money I'm earning from it. So of course I'm not putting it where I want. Like, you can see how we go. It's very individualized, but the fact is, everybody's individual personal goals are still impacted by these overall questions and techniques that we end up doing. We also have a section in Me School that's not in the book. There's actually the book, I did my best, right, to put it all in. It's only a book. It's not, multiple hours and months of training.
Yes.
One of the things we do in Me School is a little bit of development of our intuitive empathic selves. I always say that when you're interacting with life, it's a two-way street, right? You're either pushing information into it. Like right now, you and I are creating things. We are creating a conversation. We are pushing information out into the world. It's being recorded. Da, 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 they made this thing. Now it's known. But there's also a taking from, right? Or a receiving mode. Or old school, the old not MP3s, CDs, CD-ROMs. You either write to the CD, you put your old Word docs on there, or you read information from the CD. You booted up a program that was already there and you took it into you. And what a lot of people don't do is receive information, all that's out there that they can. And some of us, who are considered woo-woo, we receive information all the time. I'm like, that's your empathic intuition. That's you receiving information. It's all there for you.
Yeah.
So I empower people also to kind of explore that in themselves, so that the things that they're experiencing in their life, they can have greater context and knowledge around, by kind of opening up to that intuitive side as well. So
Powerful.
that's it in a nutshell.
Powerful. Reader's Digest version. Powerful.
Yeah.
It's getting in touch with what is tripping you up and zeroing in on how we can reprogram this, how we can move through this. And what you thought was a simple manifestation of paying off my house is really a spiritual journey to get in touch with your unhelpful beliefs that are worth reprogramming, maybe having to do with spiritual lessons that your soul wanted to learn.
Yeah. I work with so many people who are so stuck because of this. They're just like, I've tried everything. I'm stuck. And, my answer is no, you're never stuck. The next thing for you is right there. I mean, how can you not have faith that the next step for you isn't already right in front of you? That would be like saying the universe just is very arbitrary and stingy. Sometimes it gives you the right next step. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, no, it's always right there. If you're really on a journey, there's always the next step you can take. And they're like, but I don't like any of these next steps. Like, it doesn't matter. Take it so you can get to the one after that. So I do a lot with breaking people through this sense of I'm stuck. I can't do this because this has never worked out for me. And one of the mindsets I'm so insistent on is you're going to come into this program and be wrong about a lot of things. Like, I want you to be wrong. It's so freeing. It's so freeing. In fact, that's a chapter in the book. If you can be wrong, what it means is all the stuff you've been telling yourself about why you can't have this, I can't get the house paid off, it's not going to work. Like, you've built some really strong rationalizations, right? That are fulfilling some need in your heart for you to understand why you're not having something. Like, if we don't have something, or if something is difficult or painful or stuck, the most soothing thing we can do for ourselves is tell ourselves why, because then at least we can hold it and handle it. But as we tell ourselves why and make that so real in ourselves, we actually end up creating something that we can never then dislodge. But when you're wrong and say, oh my God, I'm completely wrong about this, it's like stepping back into child mind. What does that mean? What if I was wrong? What if all the thoughts I've had, what if, right? And then all this new stuff starts rolling up. What if my next step is actually there and I can trust the universe that, it's got me. The universe has my back, as they say. And that this thing I didn't want to do is maybe the thing that I actually need to do. So I'm insistent with my students. I'm like, you may say you already know this. You may say, I've already been there. That's not where my stuff is. And I'll say, look again. Because if you were so right about that, you'd have solved your problem by now. All the things you've taken off the table, maybe actually that's where the gold is. So I want you to go back and do it again. And crazy stuff comes up, like crazy good stuff, like, oh my God, you're so right. That's where it was all this time. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That thing you said, I already figured that out and mastered that 5 years ago. I'm like, that's why you've been stuck. You've been hitting a dead end because it's still there. Go back. Let's do this again. So that's a whole bunch of me school teachings kind of all wrapped up in one mindset, but it really will help people break free from feeling like I've tried everything and it's still not going anywhere. And it can't and it won't. I'm like, oh no, that's never right.
Yeah. I feel unstuck. I feel movement forward just hearing you talk, Summer. And it's reminding me how inspired I have felt reading your books, Stuff Nobody Taught You. And it just reminds me of that feeling of the abundance of tools and exercises and support and insights and metaphors for understanding how to get in touch with what's really creating resistance, not what you think is creating resistance, but what's really underneath.
Yeah.
And then that support for moving through. And I love how you go on that journey with us. I love how you write in this book. I'm sitting here in my pajamas and I'm writing, this is day one. And throughout the book, you admit, I'm no longer in my pajamas. I upgraded to sweatpants permanently. And I love going on that journey with you in this book. So I want to, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the interview time, but I want to just encourage everyone to check out Summer's amazing book, Stuff Nobody Taught You. Also Flow Dreaming. Flowdreaming.com is where you can find her book and her info. And I want to ask Summer, please tell my audience more how they can purchase your book, how they can get involved in Me School, how they can connect with all the amazing things you offer.
I love it. So yeah, Me School, the actual Me School is enrolling. I run it once a year. And this year it's going to be starting in September. So right now is pre-registration, which is like, your best pricing and all of that. So if anybody's interested, again, flowdreaming.com, that's like I was joking earlier, the entry point to my universe. If you go there, you'll find a way to reach out to me and I can talk with you about it. As far as getting this book, it's out pretty much everywhere. It's even out as an audiobook for people who want to listen on Audible or wherever, you listen to Apple books or whatever it is. So just look it up wherever you want and you'll find it and you can order it. Aside from that, I'm probably most active on Instagram. If you look up my name, Summer_McStravick. But yeah, I run things throughout the year. Like I have a big free series coming up, starting in May, which is called One Brilliant Thing, where we do 4 weeks of manifesting, like real intensive flow dreaming every single day over the course of 4 months. So 1 week a month, and it's totally free. I invite everybody to join. But to get all this information, you kind of have to sign up on my email list because I'm very old school. I am an emailer to the core. So just go there and there's free stuff you can download, but that's basically the best way to get a hold of me, get a hold of the book, and get a hold of Me School. Oh, and my podcast. Sorry, podcast.
Yes, and I was going to say, what about your podcast?
Yeah. It's called Flow Dreaming, still kind of woo-woo because I've recently rebranded. I've going into my 19th year with this podcast. And kind of have been exploring new territory this last season. So it's pretty fun.
It is exciting. Check out her podcast. I've listened to it. It's fantastic. Summer, I want to thank you so much for coming on Integrative Mystic. I never called you Flo, so I feel like I should just call you Flo for good luck. Summer Flo McStravick of Flow Dreaming.
Oh.
Thank you so much for coming on. This has been really inspiring to me. And I can feel like all this breakthrough energy. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne. I really appreciate that you and I are so similar. Half science, half woo is what I call myself. And,
Love it.
so integrative mischief is like just perfect. Like, oh yes, I'm gonna get you. You're gonna get me. So
Yes,
thank you so much for a great interview.
we get each other. Thank you. Wasn't that a refreshing interview with Summer McStravick? Don't you just feel like getting unstuck and doing some psychic spring cleaning? I know I do. That was really fun. Thank you so much, Summer, for coming on the show. And I hope you can come back. Check her out, flowdreaming.com. What a joy to have Summer on the show. Thank you. Let's transition into our reading for the week ahead, collective reading for the energies of the week ahead. What do we need to know, Spirit? What is pertinent to us for the week of May 1st, 2023? Mercury's retrograde. We've got the full moon coming up. What do we need to know? Okay, we've got Six of Swords, the Emperor, the Sun, and Eight of Pentacles that wanted to pop out. Six of Swords. We're getting things done, but in a new way. We've got Mercury retrograde helping us redo, reorganize. You might find you're making progress in areas you haven't made progress on recently. Sometimes moving backwards with things that we were moving backwards with helps us move forward. In other words, the retrograde helps create the opposite energy flow for something. So something was stuck, retrograde, Mercury retrograde can help us get unstuck. You might find you have the opportunity to get to get unstuck in some areas and find some new ways of making progress where things were a little stagnant. I feel the Emperor, not the Emperor question mark, the Emperor period. The Emperor has come out. Emperor, what do you have to say to us this week, May 1st? I feel like the Emperor is guiding us to take a look at our schedule. This is all about the analytical, the planning, the mental, the routine, the structure. So Emperor is asking us to look at our routine. Make sure in your routine you schedule in some time for yourself. This is a good time to kind of reassess your routine. I think you might find ways to use your time more wisely as you're assessing your routine. I also feel like it might be a time this week to do some financial planning. You might have some financial opportunities coming to you. You might have some opportunities for making more money or even leading a project. And I feel like you also have some opportunities to do some financial planning to find better ways of creating abundance and budgeting and manifesting through clarifying your goals and even on, more of an earthy level. We're in the time of Taurus, so we can be earthy practical level, finding some ways to manage your finances and create more success there. I've got some financial energy, I feel. And Eight of Cups. Remember we're in Mercury retrograde, one step at a time. If things aren't moving forward in all areas as fast as you want, it is not a reflection of your worth or that progress isn't moving in the big picture. It's just perhaps a little time of slower moving energies in some areas of your life. But remember, I do feel like in some area of your life, you might have forward moving energy or the opportunity, things kind of flow easier. And you might be able to come up with more solutions or resolutions or movement forward in some area that you haven't been able to for a while. Maybe you put a project on the back burner and it wants to come out right now. But some other areas, you might feel a little frustrated. Things are not, you might have, a little bit more red tape or challenges or some tangles to untangle, but that's okay. That's part of life and that's part of the learning process. So just flow with it and let go, let God, let go, let spirit. The sun came out. Come on, the sun. We are brightened up by the very, very lucky benevolent card, the sun. Good omen here. So this week, be yourself and you will shine. Being authentic is going to bring you a lot of joy this week. And I feel like people are going to want to be around us more the more we're in our own authentic joy. So instead of counting on other people to make you happy, shine your light out from within and watch how it brightens others and creates more positive experiences in your life. And I think I needed to hear that. So thank you, son. So do some financial planning. Take a look at your schedule. Make sure that you're factoring in enough me time and self-care time in your schedule and doing what brings your soul joy and grounding yourself. And also just maybe there's some more efficient ways to work with your routine and timing. And yeah, you might be open to making progress in ways you are surprised, that might be surprising opportunities for progress, and perhaps some career financial opportunities coming to us as well. Have a beautiful week, my friend. Happy full moon. We're in eclipse season. Just flow with it. Trust the metamorphosis is happening. And may you be unstuck and flowing and joyful. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me. I hope to see you at the next podcast group or session. Check out my website, creativepsychestudio.com, and Summer McStravick's website, flowdreaming.com. Have a beautiful week. Take care.